Hi guys, I'm Holly with BeretDesign.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a decorative tassel for a little less than 50 cents and in only a couple minutes. So let's get started. Today I'm going to be using DMC embroidery floss, a sharp pair of scissors, a cup of coffee because it's still early for me, and a homemade template to make tassels. Now this template is only 1.5 by 2 inches, and all I did is cut it on my mat and from a scrap piece of cardboard. These are going to be very small, well, pretty small, because they're going on the end of a bookmark, as you can see here on what I made previously. Now if you want a bigger tassel, you can make these as long or as short as you want to your tassels. It's just according to the width you cut your cardboard. Like if I was going to do maybe drapery cord tiebacks, I would probably use one that was about 8 inches by 3 inches would be a good, or maybe even 8 to 10, yeah, about 8 inches by 10 inches, and that would make a really longer tassel. But again, ours is very short, so we're only going to be using the 1.5 by 2. And I'm going to actually do this in black so you can see it a little bit better on this white cardboard. And what we're going to do, super simple. And again, our width is what determines how long our tassel is. Mine's going to be 1.5. So I'm going to start with a template. I'm going to put my thread on top. I'm just going to hold it and I'm going to start wrapping. And you can hold that little tail until you get a few wraps on there and it'll start to hold itself. I don't have any set number amount that I wrap them. I really don't count because they're not going on, they don't need to be a matching pair, but if they were a matching pair, I would definitely count the amount of times I was rolling on there. But since this is just going on the bookmarks, it's no big deal. And the more you wrap, the fuller your tassel is going to be. And we're not going to wrap this one very full for sake of time, and it doesn't need to be very full. These are what it's going to look like when we're done. It's kind of a little, there you go. And I knotted up my thread. So we're just going to go ahead and cut this one. Again, it's really early in the morning for me, so forgive me. Okay, here we go. Let's wrap a few more times. Make it a little bit more full. And these can be used for, like I said earlier, drapery tiebacks, jewelry, sewing, embellishments, you name it. And this is actually going to be pretty full now that I look at it. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to clip the end. Okay, and you're left with this. Now we are going to make the hanging loop. So we're going to take our thread, and for the hanging loop for my bookmarks, I like to double up my hanging loop. So I'm going to cut a piece, I'm going to bend it in half and kind of measure about how long, eyeball about how long I want it. And again, if I was making a matching pair, I would definitely do a measurement and keep up with the number of wraps, so they'll be the exact same size and length. But since we're just doing it bookmarks, it's no biggie. This is where the flexible cardboard comes in handy, because you can just pull that thread away from the cardboard and you can just slide a piece underneath the thread like that. And this is what you're left with. Now we're going to move, this is the little tail from where we cut the thread earlier. We're going to move this hanging loop to the top of the thread on the cardboard, like so. And we're left with this. But now, again, back to the flexible cardboard. This really comes in handy because we're going to slide it off. And it looks a little wonky right now, but I promise you it'll look cute when we're done. And that's just the tail from where we wrapped our loops. And so we're left with this. Now we're going to tie the hanging loop. And my fingers will probably get in the way for this, but I will move out of the way and show you what I did. I'm just putting a knot in the end, essentially. Like so. Nice and secure. And I am going to cut the tail of this knot off to make it a little neater. So we're left with this little guy. He's a little wonky, but we'll fix him up. Now I'm going to take the loop, and I like to hide this knot in my loops, so I'm going to move it around like so, so that you're left with this. Now we're going to take another piece of thread, and we're going to secure the top of our loops that we wrapped. So I'm just going to hold this and lay it on, lay my 2B tassel on top of it. Okay, and now we're going to take this piece of thread and we're going to secure the loops for the tassel to the hanging loop, if that makes sense. The tassel threads to the hanging loop. And all I do is some butterfingers today. Is double knot it. Sorry about that. And I have a little glue on here. Or actually, that's white thread from my previous one. Okay. Now, pull this a little close to the top of the loop. Make it look a little neater. Make sure that knot's in there really well. I like to double knot this to secure it. And again, my fingers are in the way. I apologize, but I will move out of the way and show you what I did. All I'm doing is double knotting it. Okay. And here's what we got. Now this is fairly secure, but we want it to look nice and neat and secure it even more. So we're going to take the thread we cut and we're going to wrap the ends around. Let's go ahead and cut this long tail off. That's from where we wrapped it on our cardboard template. But we're going to take it and we're going to wrap it around several times to make it nice and neat. And then we're going to double knot it again. Here we go, almost done. And again, I'm a little slow this morning, unfortunately, but once you get the hang of these, you can really knock them out in no time. You can make them less than 10-15 minutes. Okay. Once you have it tied off securely, there's one or two things you can do with these tails. If you are making like a more decorative tassel that's going to be seen a lot, I would recommend taking a needle with a long eye, like an embroidery needle, and threading the tail ends through the loops we made underneath and pulling it down into the body of the tassel, the tail ends, and it looks really nice and neat. But since this is going on a bookmark and no one's going to see it but me, and it's really not that noticeable, I'm just going to snip the tail ends flush and get rid of them. And we're almost done. Now, this part, make sure you use really sharp scissors, because I made one yesterday where I tried to use my paper cutting scissors, and all I did is hack it apart and make it look ugly. So make sure you use really sharp scissors on this part. And all you gotta do is take your scissors, thread it through the loops you made, and cut. And we have a tassel. Comb it out a little bit with my fingers there, and you can actually use an actual comb to comb it out and make it nice and neat to see where it's a little bit longer in pieces. You're going to have pieces that are a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. So to fix that, all you do is straighten them out and trim. And now you have a nice, neat, well, almost little tassel that you can use for a bookmark or jewelry. If I was making a necklace out of this, like if I wanted to make it like a center focal piece of the necklace, the tassel, I would probably, no, I would most definitely, you could do, well, what I would do is I would either make a few, and instead of using the hanging loop part that we done, I would actually use a jump ring and put a jump ring in there. And I would do that no matter how big it is for a focal point of a necklace, or either for, you know, pieces, accent pieces of a necklace where you're making several. And for draperies, I would probably use, for the hanging loop, I would probably use like a really nice braided cord, and it would be really pretty. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. Here's a few more. And I hope to see you soon. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also follow me on my blog at beretdesign.com. Happy crafting, guys, and see you soon.